Hello and good afternoon to you. I hope all are well. This is Cliff Grays from Train World Boxing. Now, before I start, let me flag up that I follow and eat a carnivore diet. I have explained about this, why, and I have never felt fitter. I do believe the carnivore diet is a very strict form of ketogenic eating. Carnivore diet is whereby there is an exclusion of carbohydrates, sugars, starches, fructose, a lot. When you look at something like the lion diet, which is strict, hardcore carnivore, which I really aren't there yet. I've tried it. It's a bit too severe for me. I've only been going carnivore now 6 odd months. But the lion diet is and can be raw steak, fatty steak, ribeye preferably, salt, Himalayan salt, something like that, and water, preferably spring water. That's it. Preferably they will eat once a day, preferably PM in the evening. So I take my hats off for health and nutrition, the carnivore diet, because it will rid you of all this poison out of your body, all unnecessarily plant carbohydrates, starch, and the like. All exogenous carbohydrates should go. Now, I'm drinking a coffee that's got cream in it, and yes, it does have lactose in it. Anything with OSE on the end, right, is considered forbidden on a strict carnivore diet. But as much as you can, it should be 99.999% carnivore. Just a quick explanation about, yeah, but mate, you've got to have your macros, mate. You've got to have your macros. No, you haven't. Oh, come on, you've got to have your macros. No, you haven't. Well, where'd you go your carbohydrates from? Well, what do you need? We just said you don't even need 1 teaspoon of sugar, carbohydrates, whatever, in your diet. Not 1 gram. What about your fiber? You don't need fiber. I have never been constipated once since I've followed the carnivore diet. My stools did change when I initially, the first month did change. They did change. They was a little bit loose, but now as regular as anything, firm stools, proper stools, one wipe, and it's all gone. You understand what I mean? You do not need exogenous carbohydrates. What happens is, via a process known as gluconeogenesis, will release glucose into the bloodstream. And that will go to the areas like the brain and the eyes. So don't worry, you do not need carbohydrates. Yeah, but what about an athlete, a hard training athlete? Well, this is the argument. If you're eating carnivore and you're, say, a pro boxer, and then you say, oh, I'm going to, through fight camp, go carnivore, you would be destroyed, because it wouldn't happen. It's a slow process of changing because of the microbiome, from somebody that eats macros and lots of carbohydrates to somebody that doesn't, a carnivore. And that process takes about 6 months. This is why pro boxers really can't embrace changing to a carnivore diet. But what I'm saying to you is those that do and can and have made the transition will find out that their body is now not running on carbohydrates. It's now running on fatty acids as their fuel, as your fuel supply. So really and truly, there's no place for carbohydrates. So yeah, I am a carnivore, but I don't know about in the United States, but certainly here in the UK, this carnivore, they call it the community, which I don't like because it smells of cult and sect. But certainly within here, the UK, there are some buffoons out there. There are some real wallies, some real idiots. They keep on referring, which is wrong, to the fact that our ancestors 4 million years ago, even 350,000 years ago, ate meat, hunted meat. Now, where's the bit where they're wrong? The time period. Yes, I do believe post the flood, we would have had to strive and toil to hunt down our food. And yeah, we would have eaten stuff like wild boar, pheasants, buffalo, bison, and the like. I do wholeheartedly believe that. But not 4.5 million years ago, not 1 million years ago, not 350,000 years ago. How these idiots use social media, especially this platform, YouTube, to slip in the quote and claim, 350,000 years ago. What absolute toffee and absolute nonsense. They say, well, look, we've got isotape in here, right, to back up what we're saying. What have you got? What credibility have you got? Well, look, stable isotopes. These isotopes do not decay and are commonly used in research. Examples include carbon 12 and carbon 13 or nitrogen 14 and nitrogen 15. And they say that research analyze the isotope ratios in bone and teeth, which reflect the isotopes of the food and water an individual consumed over their lifetime. So, what I'm saying is that would be believable when we consider that the Earth was created 7,000-8,000 years ago, maximum 10,000 years, and that's pushing it. Between 6,000 to 8,000 years, the Earth is a young Earth. Now that, I think, holds water, not this lie of 350,000 years ago. One chap claimed 4.5 million years ago, and he is a bit of an idiot, this guy. He has very foul mouth on him. He should be banned, in my opinion, from YouTube because he uses the C word literally in every other sentence. And this guy is purported to have an IQ of in 3 figures. And yet he cannot put together one decent sentence without swear words. He makes me look a saint. And boy, can I swear when I want to. You see, sadly, these individuals have jumped on to the good name of carnivore eating and turned it into a sect, a cult. And it is very, very, very disturbing to think that they are given a platform here on YouTube to espouse lies and deceit. Because let me say this to you. Let's take the lesser one, what they claimed 350,000 years ago. I've said this before. Firstly, how are they getting to that figure 350,000 years ago when the years and the historical periods have always been set by a Christian calendar? We have BC, we have AD. So why is it that when we learn about the Spanish Armada, the Battle of Hastings, we know, for example, the Battle of Hastings was in 1066 AD. How do we know that? We wasn't even thought about in 1066. So how on earth do we know? Well, firstly, you've got to find the corpses. You've got to find the skeletons of the human beings that have deceased, and whether they have died or been buried or whatever. Tell me this, answer me this. What do you suppose happened 350,000 years ago? Do you honestly think people that are deceased through whatever reason, do you honestly think they were buried? Why do we bury the dead? Now we cremate, but why do we bury the dead? When did that come in? Where is that text in historical documentation to definitively prove out that they were buried? And how deep would you have to go to dig down to a level of 350,000 years ago? How deep? How deep? This is the lies and deceit. It smells of evolutionists, which again is completely unfounded, and lies. Because somebody explained to me then, okay, so we come from apes. Yeah. Okay, so we know that the chimpanzees, the apes still exists. And we know right at the other end of the spectrum, the human being exists. What's happened to all the middle bits then? What's happened to all the middle bits? We don't know. We don't know. And neither do the scientists know. They have on their agenda a hatred of Christianity. A lot of these evolutionists. Yeah. But I would say this to you, evolutionists. Isn't what you are claiming a belief? Just like what's in here? A belief? Isn't it? Because you tell me. You tell me. When did it all start off? 4.5 million years ago, somebody has said before. Million years ago, somebody else has said before. All the time period is different. It's all different. It's all over the shop. It's erratic. There's no conclusivity about it. It's just hearsay, which they think. They think. And when you look at it logically, you think, well, how deep would you have to dig? How deep would you have to dig to get to the beginning of time? Do you think? Can the scientists decipher and unravel that ponderable for us? How deep would you have to go to get to the beginning of time? Do you think? 100 feet? 200 feet? 500 feet? 1,000 feet? How deep? How deep? How deep? This is why, because they cannot, not they will not, they cannot back it up. They cannot back it up. Which leaves massive, great big question marks, question marks, question marks, question marks. Oh, they say we're scientists and we jolly well roll up our sleeves and we get to work. Really? Well, look, in here, okay, in there is what I believe in. Is what I believe in. And until you can give me definitive evidence of the divine spark of life, when that was, please show a bit of humility. Show a bit of humility, because we believe in the Bible. That is it all in there. But you say, we don't know. And then you make pure old statements, but you don't know neither. But we have a faith. You say, well, we have a faith. So what it comes down to is, do you believe in evolution or do you believe in the Bible? And it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And what I've said before is, if I'm wrong and you're right, what have I lost at the point of my death? Because you're right. In what you said, you're right, aren't you? So what have I lost? Zero. One big fat zero, haven't I? But what about if I'm right and you're wrong? What have you lost? What have you lost? So that's it. You know, you try and help people, you try and encourage people, and they do some very, very, very disrespectful, nasty things. And I think these characters should be booted off all social media, because they're nuisances, and when we can get rid of them, it would be a lot better place. Okay. So thank you for listening. You have a great afternoon out in the sun. Cliff Graves, Train More Boxing. See you later. Ciao.